Hello, my magical friends. I am back, ready to do another wellness energy reading for you today. It's been a little while. I've been out of this kind of work because I've been very busy on my own healing journey and doing my own creative exploration. And I seem to have magnetized a number of decks in the last couple months. They just seem to be appearing in my face, and the messages are getting louder and louder. And I'm sure the collective that's watching me and knows what that's like. My collective here on YouTube is small enough that I can do timeless oracle readings because they're very specific. If the reading has found you, then you're supposed to be here. This is obviously for a reason, because my readings don't reach a lot of people. There's a very small collective that resonates with my stuff, the stuff that channels through me. So anyways, so here I am. If you don't know me, my name's Pia. I'm a number of things. I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I have a background in wellness and preventative health. And I have a great affinity for the environment and for nature. So that's likely the collective that's attracted to this work as well. As you can see here, I've been joined by a number of my crystals, which I've Reiki'd. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I've brought these crystals in and set the intention that they send some Reiki healing energy in the course of this video to whoever is attracted to it. And here are my new decks. I have them here. I wanted to take this time to sort of address some of the questions. I know that this type of work is so necessary right now. And a number of people in the spiritual and preventative health community have taken time out, like myself, as a result of the collective trauma we all experienced several years ago as a result of the pandemic. I know I used to do a lot of body work and one-on-one sessions, and I stopped that, wanting to sort of focus less on public-facing work and more on internal work and the exploration of my creativity. It's all tied together, you know. The health of the human body, the health and healing of the human body, I want to say. There's a process. So there's, in my experience, I mean, I'm not a doctor and I'm not here to give you medical advice, but I know from personal experience that trauma can manifest in many ways, whether it be physical trauma, ancestral trauma, and there's a number of levels of healing involved. There's the physical body, there's the emotional body, there's the mental body, there's the auric body. And my personal healing journey has led me through the healing of the physical body and all these other levels as well. And at some point, I also found during the course of my work on other people, at some point, the healing journey goes beyond the physical body, and you must work with the energetic body, and you must at some point deal with the shadow self and with past trauma and any blocks that exist in the body, because your body can only heal so far as you let it. I don't want to say let it. The body, in my experience, can only heal so far as you are willing to listen to it, perhaps. I don't know. But I know for me, my personal healing journey had me healing others in the process of healing myself. And at some point, I had to come across my own personal block, which was in the brow eye chakra area, which is the source of my creativity, which was all connected to childhood trauma and old stories passed down from my parents, from my upbringing, about old narratives about the starving artist, which is a myth. Old narratives about what it means to be an artist, what it means to listen to your inner voice, what it means to listen to your intuition and let it guide you throughout the world, and let it lead you to the life that you want, as opposed to doing everything in a traditional way, in a conservative way, let's say. So so I had to come and face that, and the past several years for me have been about unblocking that brow chakra and allowing my intuition to lead and exploring my own personal creativity, and lo and behold, it's really kept me afloat over the past several years. The idea of the starving artist is a myth. You don't have to be starving as an artist. There are many successful and perfectly happy and self-sufficient artists in the world. Art is God's source. Our creativity, we are manifestations of the Creator ourselves, and art and creativity is a co-creation with Source, which is some of the most important work in the world. So that's something that maybe will come through some of this work today. And I wanted to take these sessions to address some of the questions that people have had for me in terms of energy and wellness and creativity, that I, over the last several years, have been unable to address because I was more sort of focused on healing myself. So here we go. I'll try to address them in order, but I think one of the main messages today for you or whoever's watching is about creating the time and space for your own healing. The collective that's watching this is likely a community of people with very strong creativity, very strong empaths I'm speaking to. I think if you're drawn to this type of work, and if you're still here, then you maybe do have some kind of blockage that you're dealing with in yourself, and you're probably quite sensitive to the energies of those around you, and perhaps that has made you a bit of an odd fit in some work environments. Sometimes being sensitive and being an empath, being able to pick up on other people's energy can be really confusing, because it can sometimes be difficult to discern what energy is yours and what energy is coming at you from the outside. And sometimes it all gets mixed up in our auric field, and we start to think in sort of negative spiral patterns. And half the time, more than half the time, I want to say, that energy is not ours. It is just stuff that we're picking up from other people. We're picking up projections of other people's thoughts and energy. So the first thing I would suggest for the sensitive people who may be tuning in to this work, the first thing that I would suggest, I've often been approached by people who ask, how am I doing it? How am I surviving and thriving in the world strictly by following my intuition and following my sense of joy, and not cracking under the pressure of society, and maintaining true to my vision and just doing whatever the heck I want to do. It's a very loaded question. It's not easy. It's a little complicated, but it involves, it doesn't have to be that complicated, actually. It just seems difficult, but I think the key is to create the time and space. Create the time and space for yourself to be able to know what your own energy feels like apart from the energy of other people. And that can be so tricky because the energy of others comes to us in so many forms. There's people, not all of us can sort of hermit away all the time. Some of us go into workplaces that are quite chaotic. Some of us live with family members who have very strong energy and projections of us. Some of us are quite, I want to say, unaware of the effect that our friends may even have on our thought patterns. So I think it would be essential for someone who's looking to clear any energetic blocks in their system to take a few moments. And this is something that I actually recently, I've been meditating for a long time, and meditation is something I always go back to and I always recommend for clearing energy and for coming back to oneself and grounding. But I find the best time, any time is a good time really for meditation, but the most efficient time for me is very, very early in the morning when I first wake up, because the world is quiet, the energy is quiet. And this may be different for whoever's watching. You might find your own best time. But for me, it's when I first wake up and I know I'm awake, but I haven't opened my eyes yet, when I'm in that liminal state. And that's where I begin to do some focus on my breathing, literally just paying attention to the feel and quality of the breath, trying to extend it. I actually have meditation on Instagram at mermaid.pia that you can use if you're not sure, if you need a guided. I'll try to link it in the description. But that is a very good time when you first wake up. And that is a good time to use your breath and awareness to clear your auric field, create protective fields around yourself and your family and your space. For me, that's the best time. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to do a little bit of card work. I hope to be able to come back on here and expand on the energetic talk. But I'm getting a little thirsty and I think I might be wanting to wrap it up soon. So I haven't even pulled a single card. This is all just straight channeling. So I want to introduce you to the decks that have been magnetized to me over the last couple months. Oop. This is the first deck. I actually literally came across it in a box. Didn't even know I had it. It's a tarot deck. And I'm going to pull some messages for you. That was a channeled message for you. But I do think cards are a very good tool to focus energy and to focus ideas. So here we go. Let's do something for you here. Message today for whoever's watching. So I had somebody ask me about how to do card work, how to do tarot. Of course, there's traditional methods, and everybody has their own. I tend to just go straight by intuition. I don't often do normal spreads. Cards in the end of it are just a tool, right? I mean, just like crystals For me anyway, they're a tool to focus your idea and focus thoughts and channel messages, which when your intuition's developed enough, can just happen straight as a straight channel, without cards. But cards are nice because they're pretty, and they're a tool. They're a tool to help focus the message. Okay, so without repeating myself, here we go. We have here for you the Three of Pentacles. Oh, let's put him up here. Yep, you can see him better. Oh, and the Knight of Pentacles. Oh, this is about building. I want to say this is about building wealth. This is about moving forward into the new year, 2025. Focusing on steadily building your wealth. That's actually really lovely. And considering the channeled message that just came through, it has to do with making space and time for yourself. Perhaps this is something that's been difficult for you to do because perhaps you currently work in a chaotic home or environment. That would be, I could relate to that actually. I wouldn't be surprised if the collective that's attracted to this reading has struggled for quite a long time with finding time and space for their creative work, for overcoming any energetic projections. There really is quite a lot of space clearing and space projection that I've had to do in the last little while. And it's a process. It's not something that happens overnight, because clearing time and space is not just about stuff. It's not just about office space and studio space, which is, really important. But it's also about clearing space in your mind and your lifestyle and your habits, clearing energetic space for the work that you want to do. Because the creative energy of source, of the creator, is something that naturally is part of us. Anyone who's read Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way, knows that it's not something that you have to get. Creativity is not something you have to get or learn. It's a part of our lifeblood. It's a part of our God source. We just have to let it out. And it's difficult to let it out in a life, in a house, in a space, in a workplace that's already full of other stuff. So for quite a lot of us, our creativity hinges on being able to clear away any debris, physical or energetic, that is standing in the way of us letting this out. So 2025 for you might be a good time for you to focus on this. Focusing on really enjoyable, productive aspects of your creative life. Enjoying is a key word for this. Because as we know, whatever we focus on tends to grow. So if you focus on the joy of your work, the things that bring you joy, I want to say, that is the part of your work that's going to grow and start to take up space in your life. Beautiful. I love it. Okay. I have 3 decks I want to go through. This, stuck together with another deck. This is a beautiful mediumship deck that I actually won this from the beautiful Rare Gazelle on YouTube. I'll try to link her. She's awesome. Yeah, the second of 3 decks that have come to me over the last, over the last little while. Funny, it says Divine Nudges. I just picked that up because magnetizing these decks has been my divine nudge from Spirit that I need to start coming back to this work, coming back to helping people, coming back to channeling, coming back to sessions, whether it be Reiki, card work, lifestyle counseling, all of which I do offer. I will be opening myself up to bookings soon because I think I've reached that point where I feel like you can only really help people to the extent that you've helped yourself. And done quite a lot of work in this area, so I can actually speak on it a little bit easier than I could before. And I think that's really important for people to only accept treatment from people who are qualified to speak from the level that you're at, if that makes sense. And I think for wellness practitioners as well, I think it's important to not just focus on helping others constantly, but to also focus on healing yourself, because that'll make you a better practitioner. Anyway, I could talk for ages about that, but clearly I had to stop here. So let's pull that guy out. Evidence of Spirit. All these little treasures. Sorry, I'll stop shaking the card. All these little treasures. It makes me think of the idea that the physical, all these little physical items seem like sort of trinkets and little things that you just keep, little mementos and souvenirs. But they all hold energy. So it sort of reminds me that the physical isn't unspiritual. All items hold energy. Some more than others. So crystals are quite good conductors of energy and holders of energy. That's why it's important to keep your crystals clear. That's why Reiki is so important for me, to be able to Reiki spaces and objects, as well as the body, as well as myself. So you can bet I Reiki'd the entire space before I started this reading, wanting the energy to be very clear and very pure for the messages that come through. You can bet I consecrated the space and protected it. You can bet I Reiki'd and consecrated all of these items so that the messages could be clear and healthy. And I think it's quite important to be selective about the items in your space, making sure they carry the right energy, getting rid of items that perhaps carry old and stagnant energy. So the idea that the physical is spiritual as well. I think that's quite important today for someone. Okay, and finally we have this deck. It's a beautiful botanical deck that came to me over this Christmas. And it's quite fitting because I am quite connected to the elemental realm, to plants. I seem to have a talent with natural objects, with animals. I have quite a lot of green elemental energy. And you probably do too if you're watching this. So this is quite a new deck. I'm not really familiar with it. but it was the final nudge for me to come back to this kind of work. Final message for my collective here. This has gone by really fast and I've really enjoyed it. Final message. So we have information about creating space and time for your creative work. We have information about the items in your space. I want to say be aware of what people give you as well and the energy with which they give it to you. Sometimes people give us stuff that come with energetic ties. So just kind of be aware of that and be discerning about what it is you want in your space and what energy it could be tied to. The Hedgewitch Oracle is very quiet. Perhaps there's nothing. It seemed quite urgent to speak this morning. Ah, here we go. Preserve. Oh, beautiful. Preserve. We have the pine. The pine. Ooh, can you see that? The pine. Preserve. The pine preserves its color and its scent all year round. I want to see the little thing that says pine. I don't know why. I want to see that it says pine. Why? I'll sit there with my little fairy quartz. This is a fairy quartz from my old Reiki master, Casey at Tranquility Wellness. I'll try to link her. She's lovely. It's a fairy quartz. Yes, so back to the pine. The pine preserves, that's what I was saying, it preserves its scent and its color all winter long. It brings a sense of freshness in the dead of winter, which is kind of where we're at, isn't it? Perhaps this has something to do with bringing a freshness into your new space. We were talking about creating time and space for your creative work and the items in your space. So perhaps as you're creating space for your new creative life, your new creative work, perhaps it would be useful to bring in some greenery, some organic stuff from outside to bring in a freshness. I feel that this card is also about preserving your own life force. When the world around you feels a little bit dead, right? A little bit dead, a little bit uninspiring. Like if you actually go outside and you actually take a branch of pine, or let's say you're given a branch of pine from a tree, which is how they say you're supposed to do it. You're not actually supposed to rip them off the trees. In elemental magic, they say to take the branches that are given to you by the trees, like dropped on the ground, or somehow magically put in your hands. Because that means it's given and not taken. So I want to say something about I feel like the person who's watching this has a natural sense of that, a natural ability to maintain life force, to maintain that creative energy, that sun, really strong, solar life force. And it's resilient. And other people can almost smell it off you. That's kind of who I feel like I'm reading for. And so it's effortless for you to exude this kind of life force, and it's natural for you. And I'm kind of drawn to, what is that white thing? Is that a piece of snow? Oh no, that's the pine cone. The pine cone. Oh, the pine cone. That makes sense. The pine cone is very similar in shape to the pineal gland, which sits right in our brow chakra, right in our creative center. And there's actually images of pine cones all over Egypt. All over Egypt. My bad. I shouldn't really be saying that. In some Egyptian depictions of, to be honest, I don't even know where they're from, but I know that the pinecone image is common on Egyptian carvings on walls. I'll have to look into that. But for me, the pinecone always kind of reminds me of that, of the pineal gland, of creativity, and of the power of the creative mind. And to me, it's almost glowing in this card. I thought it was a clump of snow, and I found it so intriguing. And so for whoever I'm talking to, perhaps your creative work has been mistakenly identified, overlooked, thought to be something else that it's not. And so perhaps that's your work this year, is clarifying what it is that you like to put out into the world for yourself first, clarifying the ideas for yourself first, so that they're clear to others. You know, it's sort of a process of translation. And there are actually many different kinds of pine. There are hundreds of varieties of pine. There's not just one type of pine tree. Everybody's variety of pine, their variety of pineal gland is different. And it can be used for a multitude of things. And your pineal, your creativity is going to be different from anybody else's. So perhaps that's a big message for whoever's watching this. Okay. I feel like that's where I end it, guys. This has been really nice. It's been really cool. I'd like to thank you for showing up. And if you're still here, I'd like to congratulate you, because I have a feeling this is going to be a really great year of exploration for you. And I'd like to thank you for allowing me to play in your energy a little bit and to channel through some messaging that might be helpful. So I'm going to make myself available for personals very soon. I think I'll link it in the description. Haven't done it in a while because I was starting to attract some odd energies last time. And maybe that's a message for whoever's watching too, is maybe you have the ability to attract some odd energies as well with this like pine vitality that you seem to emit. It's attractive. People love the smell of pine. Perhaps people love the smell of you, like they love the smell of this rose. And at first it kind of freaked me out, and now I sort of just realized that it's a magnetism. It's a natural magnetism. It's not a curse, it's a gift. As long as you possess the discernment to be able to set boundaries and know what's yours and what's not yours. And that's a process that takes practice every day to be able to set boundaries and clear your energy and discern what's good for you and what's not. So we can maybe talk a bit more about that in the next talk. But for now, I'd like to thank you, and I wish you a very good day, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye now.